for those of you that just are joining, thanks for being here with us. My name is Keith Spencer. I am the assistant professor in studio art program at Denison University. And this is the Drawn Out Conference. I'm the sort of like organizer, coordinator, facilitator of this conference. Thanks to Denison University, the Center for Learning and Teaching, through their early career conference program, has helped to sort of sponsor this initiative. And what this is a group of 7 early career faculty, art faculty, who are gonna sort of come together and share how drawing sort of reinvigorates their artistic practice. And it's a way to build community. It's a traveling exhibition that each participant from schools that sort of center around Ohio, which includes Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. I think that's it. Those schools in this kind of area. So the exhibition, this portfolio of drawings is traveling to each institution just about every month or so. And as it goes to each of those institutions, that participating artist will give some sort of presentation on their own work, or specifically kind of addressing how drawing is used in their practice. Today is sort of like the first iteration of the participant segment. We had an inaugural kind of component in the spring. It went on, the conference was installed at Denison University. We're sort of set off, and it went on summer break. It went on vacation with everybody else, hence Drawn Out Conference. It's sort of like drawing out. It's about drawing. So our first person that we have tonight is Edward Victor Sanchez, who is a multidisciplinary artist working in Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Puerto Rico, currently in Puerto Rico. BFA in painting from La Escuela de Artes Plasticas de San Juan in Puerto Rico, and an MFA in multidisciplinary studies with a concentration in critical studies from MICA, which is the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. Some keywords that sort of stuck out to me in Edward's bio or statement, and I'll just read off a few of these keywords that pertain to his work and his practice. Social political climate, recycles, interposes, combines, separation, segregation, obstruction, barricades, barriers, walls, and living in today. He is currently working as a visiting artist at the University of Cincinnati. And yeah, I think that's about it. Edward, did you want to add anything to that? I'm going to hand it over to you basically. Before I do that, sorry, Edward, before I do that, I just want to share with you all, this is a Drawn Out Conference website where I'm sort of using to distribute information. You can also find us on Instagram, just look up Drawn Out Conference. And so we have the calendar coming up. Some of the other participants are on the talk right now with us as well. But please, if you're looking for more information, go to that website and you'll find out some more stuff there. Edward, thank you for doing this, for participating. You've already shown the portfolio of drawings in Puerto Rico, in your sort of exhibition, collaborative space, art space, sitio. Is that correct? And that's also currently on view at the University of Cincinnati School of Art. So thank you so much for participating, and your contributions have been really greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you very much for giving me and my colleagues this opportunity. It means a lot. Keeps us activated and energized throughout this unusual time where everything has been put on hold or canceled, right? So it's been great that we can have this spaces of something that is tangible, like a real exhibition, not a virtual exhibition. I mean, I'm not against the virtual exhibitions. As a matter of fact, that'll be the core of my talk today. But it feels good. So thank you for opening this spaces for us. I did a great effort to try to do one of these long presentations so I can keep you there for an hour. But it doesn't matter how much I try to do those. There comes editing, and there comes shortening and being more straight to the point. So it ended up being quite short. So what I'm gonna do here now is I'm gonna share my screen with you guys, and I'm gonna start talking about what I was what I prepared for this conversation. If at any point during my talk, you guys have questions, please feel free to let me know. If something needs to be clarified or my English starts to become Spanish, also let me know, so that way I can return and use a different word. So I know I started saying thank yous, but I'm gonna go for more thank yous. So good evening, amigos y amigas. Welcome all. Thank you very much for being here tonight on the second artist talk of the Drawn Out Conference. I want to extend my gratitude to my colleagues in this project, Emmeline Salomon from Albion College, Heather Brand from Allegheny College, John Berry from DePaul University, Lisa Walcott from Hope College, Justin Coleman from Denison University, and Kate Hampel from Ohio University. Very special thanks to Keith Spencer, who has envisioned this project and make it happen. I also want to thank my director at the University of Cincinnati, Kate Bonanzinga. She was the person who put me in contact with Keith upon learning about this project. So thank you, Keith, and thank you, Kate, for this great opportunity. Also, I want to thank in a very special, super ultra special way to all those young artists that we call students. I want to thank them for accepting the call of becoming artists as well and carrying the torch forward, and for sharing their ideas and experiences and their energy with us every day. Thank you all for being here. In one of our first meetings as a group, before the show was running, we talk about the shape of the artist talks. We talk about how will they be, how will they contribute to the essence of the show. The agreement was that it will be open, that the decision was in the hands of each artist. That maybe it could be some kind of collaborative exercise, or what is known as an exquisite corpse. Maybe it could take something from the previous one and then move it forward. So from that very moment, I start thinking, I began to visualize how will I do my presentation. Later after the show was running, and it had this fluid quality, and it makes me think like, well, perfect. It will be more easier to talk about something that is fluid and open. But when you can talk about everything, what does one talk about? You got all the options there at hand, but how you put things in a way that you're not rambling and you're talking about something that is specific. How do you say it? You change your voice? Do you become a philosopher and mix the most complex words with your works? Like, mi obra es el fruto de un complejo proceso de investigación que mezcla lo fortuito con estructuras de investigación científica, blah, 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 and confuse everyone, right? Or maybe do you bore the audience to the point that it becomes a competition of who can stay awake the longest? There is no doubt that that I must talk about how drawing is present in my work, but how I do it. What do I say? How can I make this talk carry the spirit of the project and at the same time contribute somehow or contribute something to the ongoing, never-ending conversation of what art is? Then I liked, bing, yes, this is what I'm going to do. Let's see what happens. And I said, well, I will establish a postulate. I'll make something and I'm going to use that as my frame and I'm going from there on. So the postulate will be this. This video conference is a drawing. This video conference, me speaking here to the monitor and you guys there listening to these words, this is a drawing in itself. I know that Albert Durer is not going to like this postulate. And at some point, he's going to ask me for some kind of explanation. So I will use this forum to build an answer, and that even if it's conflicting or incomplete or contradictory, will allow me to have a long conversation with him in the future and hopefully with you now. To support my postulate, and before I continue, before I continue, am I pronouncing that word right? Do you guys, Keith, postulate is a word?
Yeah, it's a word. I can't say I use it that frequently, but yeah, it's like to suggest or put forward something.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. So to support this, I will base my conversation on the definition that established that a drawing is any mark made on a surface. Any mark that it's made on a surface is a drawing, and that's how I'm going to back up what I just mentioned. Well, the mark in this drawing, this virtual drawing, are our gestures, our movements, our standing in front of the camera. The composition is the way this platform is organized. The focal point, it's you guys. The lines, those are my constant Hispanic hand movements and my body language. And the surface, an encrypted chip that is in a room full of supercomputers in San Jose, California. There, not only will reside this drawing with a performatic character, but also the images that I have been showing you while I speak to you. These are some of the things that I perceive as drawings. Also, these other images that I'm showing now are what I perceive as drawings when I was younger and when I was looking for excuses to make art. Here's a drawing that I did probably around 2000. It was part of a series that I called Spaces. I was kind of giving tribute to personalities that have fought for the rights of people. Here another drawing of a house in the countryside of the island. These are images that denote my vision at the time of what it was to draw for me. And although without a doubt, illustrating and recreating reality with marks are forms of drawing, these forms of expression are very far from what I call drawing nowadays. This is a drawing that I did in pastels at some point, and my goal was to do the longest drawing in pastel that I have ever created. It was initially 40 feet long, and as I found opportunities to sell pieces of it, I started cutting it down, so the remaining piece has around probably just 7 feet. So I cut it into pieces that were 3 feet, 4 feet, and so on, and little by little sold them. This is a Chilean poet called Pablo Neruda. Well, drawing is the basis of most of my artistic practice. I could say of all of it, but I have the tendency of not going to the extremes or to polarize things, just in case there's just 1% out there in which I don't use drawing. I want to define my artistic practice as a conglomerate or a mix of various different things. On one hand, creation of objects in order to bring an aesthetic experience, such as the one that you're seeing here, which is part of a series of small constructions that uses mainly wood and acrylic painting. My artistic practice also has a side that deals with installations. And I do these installations in a way to create some physical and conceptual experience toward the people who are seeing or visiting the shows. And then the third component, for which I don't have an image, is the exchange of ideas that take place in the classroom of the institutions that I work. So these three elements coexist, and that's what I see as my artistic practice. My teaching, I see it as some sort of performance, and that's why I chose to include it here as part of the things that I do. It's not something that I do to support myself, but it's something that I do because by doing it in a spiritual or intellectual way, it does give me support, but it's not in the sense of having an economic fallback, if one wants to say it or call it. Before these objects or these installations, or before I prepare a class, whether before I go to a classroom, whether it's virtually or is face-to-face, on my work table, on my studio, on my notebooks, and on my computer, dozens and dozens of drawings have been created. And I present to you here some of these experimentations or these studies. And I want to include here also my writing, because at the end, writing are marks that are done in a surface, right? I think I jumped a slide, so let me go back just in case. Here are some of the studies, few more, and then the slide with the writing, which I want to include as a form of drawing. See here a few more of these drawings where I brainstorm, ask questions, calculate quantities and measurements, and make plans. Along these drawings, I'm going to show you also some of the projects they came to be. This is part of the plans for a show, collective show that took place in Cincinnati last year. It was a group of 11 artists, and I was given the task of designing the base for the project. This was then afterwards built on wood and placed on a gallery there in Cincinnati. Here's an installation. You'll see some of the sketches for this. This was also in a gallery in Cincinnati. It's called Waypool Gallery. And this is inspired on the amount of places that are still in Puerto Rico without being fixed after Hurricane Maria. It had also a performatic or participatory part in which the audience was ripping off blue tarps that were placed on top of this and then discovering the beauty that was underneath. I also have the I'll say tendency, or I take several photographs of the installations that I later on manipulate. And in many cases, especially during this period of time, which is 2017 until 2019, I play with the images around in the computer to see what other life they can have beyond the installation component. This is the inside view of a work that I created called The Thin Line. It was shown in the Carnegie in Kentucky, at the Carnegie in Kentucky. More of those manipulated images. More studies. And this is the thin line, the work I was referring to. Is everybody cool? Nobody fallen asleep just yet? You guys good? Any questions so far?
You're good.
Right, cool. So let's continue. This one here is the one. This one is my contribution for the Drawn Out Conference exhibition. This drawing, which is intervene or work on both sides, it's made of around 12 different parts. Each of the parts have openings and cuts on several sides, and also have pieces of Velcro attached to it. This allowed the work to be installed in different ways. Since the beginning of the project, the work has traveled without instructions on how to assemble it. And this is why every time it has been assembled, the person who does the assembly becomes a collaborator of the project. At the moment, it is a work that I did and in which Keith Spencer, Sarabel Santos Negron, Cody Shriver, and Sarah Torgenson are collaborators, and they've been credited for right now at the University of Cincinnati at the Gallery Tabula Rasa. As part of the project as well, I have asked those who assemble it to add a component of their own making and remove and keep one of the components that I make. I told everyone but Keith, who I forgot to mention too. Sorry. But everybody else had that piece of information with them. With this, I seek to make my drawing as one that encourages participation and extends the concept that we have of what is an author or a creator. I want the work to have different lives different ways of being presented, and as a consequence, also different concepts. Going back to the drawing, to the drawings that I do as brainstormings, or the drawings I do to ask questions or to prepare or to make measurements. I have to mention that I do not make this with the intention of presenting them in exhibitions. Also today, they are seeing the light and being shown by being part of this presentation. They're not intended to do that. The ultimate reason for these drawings is to materialize the intangible. With this, I make real what used to be ethereal. This act allows me to communicate. With this act, I ask, I say, I define, I answer, I see, and I'm seen. So making this allowed me to be. One might say, I draw, therefore I am, but I don't want to extend it all the way there. I know that Plato established that the spiritual realm is where the real is, but without trying to bother him or contradict him. As for now, I do not have the knowledge or the skills to exchange ideas with you if it's not within the physical platform. I see the irony of calling this virtual exchange as a physical one. And I tell myself that after COVID, this realm here is a strange, real new. Art, social life, and money are becoming virtual. And by naming at the beginning of this presentation, this talk as a drawing, one that resides on a computer, I'm adding something to that kind of contradictory notion. That is why I'm closing my presentation by sharing with you that as part of my participation on the Drawn Out conference, I will be communicating in the next few weeks with the people of Zoom. This is Zoom, right? Are we on the Zoom platform?
Yes.
All right. I will be communicating with them to see how, if it's possible, I can obtain a physical copy of this video. Of course, we are recording at the moment, and the recording is instant. It's there. But when I'm speaking here about the recording, I'm not referring to that type of recording. The copy that I'll be looking for is that of the video in its simplest form, its binary language. So with that printed, it might be clear that this video is also a drawing as well. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edward. That was great.
Thank you. Does anyone has questions?
Yeah, definitely. Any questions or concerns, comments, connections? I have a few, but we'll see if anybody wants to jump in.
I like what you said about concerns. Does anybody has concerns? Please.
Yeah, Emmeline, and then John.
Hi, sorry that I have no video on. My internet is real shitty, so I want to make sure I'm not breaking up. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for this. It was really great. I really liked what you were saying about making the real ethereal and the ethereal real, and that sort of like transformative back and forth between those two. I just had a really short question, but I guess I wanted to know if you felt like elaborating any more on how you view your sort of experience in the classroom with students as part of the drawing. You touched on it twice, but I was wondering if you had any other thoughts you wanted to share about that, because I find that really compelling.
So can you please repeat what about the classroom with the students?
Oh, sure, yeah. So you mentioned at the very beginning, and then slightly farther into the talk, that you view your experience in the classroom as part of your practice and part of what you're doing. I was wondering if you would mind maybe talking a little bit more about that. I think that that's a really interesting sort of structure.
Sure. Thank you. Well, I see the process of going into the classroom as some sort of performatic. I have to wear a different persona, kind of. Of course, I go in with the intention of being as honest as possible and to share as much information as possible. But since there are so many different people in there, I need to create some sort of variation on how I express myself. I don't talk to them in the same way I talk to my wife or the same way I talk to my parents. I have to construct some sort of new language in which I can get there. So one of the tools that I use very often is humor. By starting everything with some sort of joke or some sort of less formal elements, it kind of break away the bubble, the structure, or the rigid elements that are behind school, and some of the fears that they might have may disappear with me just approaching them as if we were friends. So it's a performance. I jump in and I act. Today I'm going to talk to you about lines, and this is a line, and this is a line, and you start even dancing. And of course, some of them get embarrassed because you're treating them like you're in elementary school. But little by little, by seeing that you don't care, that you're fine with it, that you're okay dancing in the classroom, that you're okay singing, and you're okay changing your voice and doing all these strange things, they start to doing it in a less manner or in a different way, but they start to adapt into this way of thinking. And all of a sudden, you see that everyone is performing. They are high-fiving you. Well, they used to be high-fiving you before COVID at the entrance. They will know that they can stop the class just to make a comment, even if the comment is outside class, even if it's not related, without the fear of being pointed out. So that's why I call it like in a way of performance. And there's another element which is super important for me, and it's that of the student as a crucial element of the process of learning. Like, it's an exchange that happens in the classroom. I go there to give them the experiences that I have, but I go there expecting them to talk to me about their experiences as well. So in that exchange, we all become teachers and students, and we all become one artist, individual artists that are together there in a collective effort. So probably that explains a little bit what I was trying to say there. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate that.
It is Emmeline, right? Emmeline?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. So make sure I got that right. Thanks for that question. And it's funny you mentioned about I don't know. You said something like this, but I often think that teaching is sort of like stand-up comedy. Like, you're on stage, you're holding people's attention, you're trying to get them engaged. You sort of use yourself, sort of maybe in a sort of self-deprecating way, perhaps, being silly to sort of cut the tension and allow people to realize that, it's okay to fail or be mistaken. And so I totally relate. John, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to just, I have a maybe two-part comment with a question embedded in there. One of the things I really like about this conference is that it's sort of treating, Edward, the way that you're sort of treating the Zoom call like a conference. Sorry, the Zoom call like a drawing. Keith has been designing this conference as a drawing in a way that like sort of a parasitic relationship. We're sort of getting inside of it and using its structures to our creative advantage. And I really appreciate, especially when we were planning it, the moment where we just talked about the conference going on vacation and getting on a plane, and that really kind of knocked down a wall for me about how to think about it. And you did it again with putting on the detective cap and trying to find the most physical version of this elusive thing, the Zoom call. Because at first I thought you just meant the digital file. But so I guess my question is, have you ever succeeded you're about to navigate a new bureaucracy, which is emailing a giant company that is not going to want to do what you're asking it to do. So have you done that before? And do you have any idea how long the bit code, which I realize I'm adding to right now, for binary of a short program is also a long binary. So have you ever gotten an artifact like that?
Well, no. It was something that the idea was born from the conference. How far can a drawing reach? If we're talking about this other views of what a drawing is, if we're talking about how to extend it, expand it, if we're talking about questioning it, then I was saying like, wait a minute now, virtual is the new real kind of. It was heading that direction before COVID, and then COVID makes sure that even if we go back to normal, to the new normal, COVID made sure that a lot of things are gonna happen like forever virtually. And then I said, well, if I talk to any of my students, they see this as a very normal thing. They see it as the real, right? But if I talk to my parents or I talk to any of some of the other faculty who see the tangible, the mark on the paper as the real, they don't see this as a drawing. But I was asking, well, there's a physical component to this, and I can try to find it. Of course, not easy task. I don't know what will it take in terms of efforts and time, but I will do the work, the assignment. And if at the end I don't get the code, which I believe should be like super long, those attempts will become the drawing or the tangible aspect of the video, the back and forth with of emails. And I will definitely explain to them what is this about. It's probably that gives them a broader sense. It's not just that it's not something that it's, I don't know the word of capricho, like it's not something that I want to do just for fun. It's something that has a purpose, that belongs to the new perspective. This could be the expanded field of drawing. That binary code over there placed on a wall, taking the whole wall, and then on the tag explaining, well, this is the 1 hour conference that happened on September 10, and so on. I'll keep you posted. I'll keep everyone posted of whether this is fruitful. And if it is, I'm I hope I can send it to the other exhibitions, so at least part of it can be exhibit as part of the project and the discoveries that were made in this investigation that we're doing as a team.
Yeah, that sounds like music to my ears, you know, to hear that this has sort of initiated some sort of other complement to or a supplement to the conference. Like you were thinking about this other sort of initiative based off our conversations and off the portfolio, and you know, in the package when you all get it eventually, like it has your works in there, and then I think there is space for it to there is space in there for it to mutate and grow and even subtract potentially. You know, I think we all sort of initially signed up that, like, you know, we've decided to be undecided. This thing is a drawing in its own right. So, you know, I know that sometimes as like Edward specifically has been sharing stuff with me, documentation, and that's going online. That stuff has sort of filtered through me, and a part of me has been feeling as like, oh, maybe I'm injecting too much of myself into this. But I also feel like this is kind of a space that we're allowed to do that. So when it comes your way, you know, like you'll see sort of like a makeshift catalog in there. You'll see the packaging and all that. And I hope that you you know, do what you feel is necessary when it comes your way. And so that's really great to hear about that, Edward. I did have a question about you know, 'cause I'm teaching drawing right now to some intro students. There's like foundations, art 101, non-majors, majors. And you know, the idea of how you started your talk about what you used to perceive as being drawings, like illustrating, recreating real reality, is far different than what you consider drawing now. And you know, I see some of the assignments I do, which are not sort of, you know, illustrative renderings of life. And partly because this isn't a drawing, like an intro drawing class, this is just sort of like a sampler to contemporary ideas in art, hands-on. So we're jumping into drawing assignments that are more about like this kind of thinking, like the conference is a drawing, right? So how do you, looking back, how do you sort of see or think about your willingness to allow that change to happen? I mean, I think we probably have all sort of gone through that in some capacity, but the students at the cusp of that, some getting really frustrated. No, this is not drawing. How did you come to terms with that?
I don't remember when the shift happened. Probably it was, I mean, of course, it might have been something that was little by little. But I do remember getting frustrated of not having something that was perfect. I remember on an ink drawing, some spills here or there, and I was like, the word is falling on top of me because I just messed my drawing. And as I got deeper into understanding other artists, learning about different approaches, some accidents, I left them over there, and I wasn't feeling frustrated about them. And then there was a moment when I wanted the accidents to happen. And if there wasn't any accident, then I'll just leave the drawing to see what other thing can happen to them, whether on purpose or whether because they were left over there and by moving stuff around, it got changed or touched or something had evolved in it. I also started to have like a hurry, like I felt like I didn't have too much time. Like I wanted to produce so many things. I wanted to experiment with so many things that didn't have the time to be so structured and render things perfectly. So that lack of time, that perception of not having time, pushed me to simplify things. And then in the process of making things simpler, well, the gesture aspects were there, the simple marks were there, and then I start to understand that as part of my drawing language, to the point that I'm very happy if what I can do at a moment is a stick figure, and I love stick figures, and I use them as one of my main tools when I'm explaining to my students. Well, here, what is this? And they'll say, well, that's a person. Of course, it's not a dog, it's not a plane. You see, so the information is there. We can communicate. It doesn't have to be so elaborate, so complex. So don't remember exactly when it happened, but I know that it was little by little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like how much information do you need to provide in order to get the idea across? That's so the stick figure works. Thanks, Edward. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? I know it's mainly the drawn out participants on here. We have Sara, who is Edward's wife and also an artist, curator, educator. Did you all have any questions or concerns, either for Edward or just going forward with a conference? I can maybe help clarify anything coming up. John Barry, you're up next for the talk or presentation, or however you want to structure it. He's going to throw a party.
Actually, I'm doing a game show with a few students.
Oh, okay, cool.
This will be the first time.
All right. Well,
I was just going to say, I don't have any questions. I just think I have a lot of ideas now of how I'm going to ask my photography students to interact with this. I don't know. Thank you for these ideas. And I like the game show idea. I'm a little jealous I didn't think of that now, but I'll have to come up with something else.
Well, I'm really excited to see how this all plays out, and thank you all for contributing. I'm really looking forward to it, and it's pretty exciting from my end. Edward, anything last you would like to say?
No, I can say thank you again. So it is clear across that I'm very happy and grateful of the opportunity and for being with you guys in this process. So thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, Edward. Signing out here. Have a great Friday night. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Bye-bye.